listeners.
Thank you very much. When you had that declaration of the state of emergency in River State, was there anything nostalgic about it?
Well, when I had the proclamation, it's only natural that my mind will go back to October 2006, and a lot of things ran through my mind. And the first thing I was considering was the ability of Mr. President to get the National Assembly to agree to the proclamation. It had to be done within 48 hours. Interestingly, I was in Abuja when the proclamation was made. I had just driven into Abuja when I had the proclamation, so I knew that the next 48 hours, that is from Tuesday to Thursday, evening was going to be quite dramatic in Abuja. But I was in Abuja.
Interesting. And well, it appeared almost easy for the president to get that proclamation approved by the National Assembly. But let's go back in time, because this one has brought in a lot of memories. Some who were not so familiar with history started drawing comparisons with what happened in Ekiti State, even though we know it was slightly different, and that's why we want to bring it all back. The general story is that former Governor Fayose was removed during his first term because of certain corruption allegations, one that had to do with a poultry project handled by one of his friends. But this is roughly a couple of years after. We want the real story. What exactly did former Governor Fayose do at the time that enraged a lot of political figures in the state?
Well, this is it was an interesting time, and interestingly, in the last 2 months or thereabouts, one of the people who, yes, was involved in the thing was on here claiming all sort of imaginary heroism in the course of the impeachment of Fayose. But like I told some people who were deeply involved in the matter, a lot of them got back to me and they were asking me, are we losing our memories? Is this what really happened? And I just laughed and told them, look, that man is just having fun. Let him have his fun. But we know what happened, and we know those who did what. Let facts be put out. Anybody can say what he likes, but the House of Assembly then, that I was a member of, had very legitimate reasons to impeach then Governor Fayose. No stories about it. We had issues of corruption against him. We had issues of moral uprightness against him. And the interesting thing is that Section 188 of the Constitution that allows for the impeachment of a governor and or his deputy is so fluid that anything at all can be imputed to be an impeachable offense. And one was the case of some deputy governor who was impeached, is it in Cross River State or so? He was impeached for having slapped somebody even before he became deputy governor. So such sublime and little misdemeanors can actually fit into the description of wrongdoing that is impeachable. And yes, you had issues of corruption against Governor Fayose. I think he's still in court about the particular issue. So his impeachment was not induced by anybody for any reason other than what we in the House of Assembly saw. But of course, it is
for you in the House of Assembly. Because we have had stories. Some say that he did not give any regard to the House of Assembly.
That is a fact. That was a fact, yes. That was a fact. But the truth of the matter was, we had an issue, and it was an established fact that he had committed some corrupt practices, and we laid it out in the notice of impeachment to him. And his response to it did not justify our issues with him. So a panel had to be set, and the rest, as they say, is history. But it was not because somebody felt he had to go or anything. But of course, other people came in, other people who had other ulterior motives other than we wanting him to leave because he was corrupt, came in. There was a lot of games. We played games, they played games, everybody had games to play. But the truth of the matter was, we impeached him on the ground of the corrupt practice he had engaged in.
Was it just the poultry project, or was the poultry project just one out of many?
The poultry project was just one out of many, but you only need one. You don't need 1,000 reasons. You only need one. Just one misdemeanor. That's all you need. That's all the Constitution requires.
Let's then go on to the people who seem to have come in. You said this was simply an action undertaken by the State House of Assembly, but there are those who have also talked about the role of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Did former President Olusegun Obasanjo come into the mix after the Assembly had initiated that process?
Yes, the Assembly had initiated the process. Don't forget, the President has security reports every 24 hours, so he knew we were going to impeach him, and he knew the reasons why we were going to impeach him, and he did not object. If he objected, all that needs to be done is just get the whole place cordoned off, and we probably wouldn't have been able to do it. But the truth is, he knew and he had no objections to it because he saw reason in what we were about to do.
What was Governor Fayose's reaction at the time, the moment you filed an impeachment notice against him?
We filed a notice against him. His response to the notice was taciturn, and we had a sitting, and we sent a notice to the then Chief Judge to set up a panel to try him. But it is a fact that the then Chief Judge set up a panel that was, if not directly dictated by the then governor, was so partial to him that there was no way that panel would have seen anything wrong done by him. One of the panelists, I remember, was an uncle to his wife. And we protested to the Chief Judge that no, at least you should set a panel of people who can be fair in their judgment. And that became another issue entirely. That is another story for another day. But at least I think I know everything that happened at that time.
Well, we want a bit of the stories, yeah. Prince, telling us some of the stories that transpired.
Yes, the then Chief Judge, having set up a panel that was very unfair in the issue, he set up a biased panel. The House of Assembly sat against him, and we suspended him and had an acting CJ in place, who now set up a panel that, in all opinions, was fair. And the panel returned a verdict of guilt against the governor, and we impeached him.
Before that impeachment happened, the members of the House of Assembly did not feel safe. Some of you had to flee for your lives.
Not some of us, all of us. And as a matter of fact, even before the impeachment, I left Ekiti with my family in August 2006. It was that bad. I left Ekiti with my family in August 2006 because I did not think it. I knew my life was under threat. And I had a couple of occasions that made it apparent that I was a target for some sinister operations. So I left with my family. So of course, we were not safe. It's not that we felt we were not safe. We were not safe. And it's only an insane person that leaves himself vulnerable when he knows he is indeed not safe. So yes, we left town, but that didn't stop us from doing what we had to do. Because what people don't understand is an assembly is an assemblage of men, and wherever they are, the assembly is safe so long as they have the instruments of office there.
You mentioned an issue around with morality, that as a governor, there were things that he was doing. What were some of those things?
Oh, you see, like I said, the Section 188 is so fluid that a simple altercation between two people is gross misconduct. And yes, one of the issues we had against him as a gross misconduct then was that he was at the airport. Instead of following the normal channel of people queuing and getting to a checkpoint, he usually went under a barbed wire that was meant to barricade the spaces in the airport. And unfortunately, somebody actually had it on camera, and we had it, and we felt that was an embarrassment to governance as a whole, for a whole governor to be passing under barbed wire. For us, it was gross misconduct. And that was why I said a deputy governor was removed for having slapped or insulted somebody before he was elected up to governor.
After he was impeached, he had the deputy governor that was also impeached. Why was she impeached? That's Senator Olujimi here.
I'll tell you one truth. I'm just a dead honest man. I did not, and I've said that again, I did not find any reasons why we should have impeached that woman. Because the truth was, the offense we actually impeached her over was something that was done even before she was appointed deputy governor. Don't forget, she was not elected deputy governor. She was appointed deputy governor and was certified by the House. Yes. What we impeached her for was something that predated her appointment as deputy governor, but it was how do you put it? It was appropriate for all parties involved at that time to have her impeached, because, like I said, there were other motives and there were other interests for that impeachment other than the interests we, as members of the House, had against the governor. The other interest, I think, was weakening the PDP then. So it became convenient to remove the governor and remove our deputy, so that the party they represented would be weakened beyond normal at that point in time. And that is a fact.
I'd like to get that clear again. The decision was to ensure that the PDP would be weakened at the time. Is it the PDP or the interest that both Fayose and his deputy represented within the PDP?
Maybe that's a clearer way to put it.
Oh, the interest that they represented within the PDP.
Yes, maybe that's a clearer way to put it.
Did this have anything to do with a certain third-term agenda?
No.
I mean, this interest?
No, okay. Not at all. The third-term agenda by then was dead. It was dead. The third-term agenda was killed by then. No, Fayose had no problems with the third-term agenda. Don't let's implicate somebody for what he did not do. He had no problems with it. He took the whole delegation of Ekiti delegates to Osho, where we all ratified the third-term agenda for President Obasanjo. The third-term agenda was truncated in the National Assembly. So it had nothing to do with the Ekiti imbroglio. None at all. None.
But just for clarity's sake, was it the deputy governor, Senator Olujimi, was our offense slapping somebody? Because you've referenced that. I'd like to know if that was the offense.
Excuse me. I did mention who was impeached for slapping somebody. It was a deputy governor in the South, I think in Cross River State or thereabout. Okay. So it had nothing to do with Mrs. Olujimi.
In this case, what was Olujimi's case? I've tried to sort through the web. I can't really find it.
Yes, she was alleged to have been a conduit for some money between a then contractor of Ekiti and the then governor, Fayose.
And then you have the late Friday Ademiluyi, who eventually took office.
Yes.
Do you think that was his own personal interest too? That, oh well, let me rally my colleagues so that we can chase out the.
Let us put facts straight. Friday Ademiluyi is dead.
Yes.
I would not lie against a living man not to talk about a dead man. Yes, he had his own interest, and anybody would under that circumstance. Anybody would if he actually saw he could become governor. And he was given some assurances beyond that point. So, of course, he felt good about it. Some of us didn't, but there was a common interest. And that common interest was the impeachment of Governor Fayose, the impeachment of the deputy governor, Senator Adetope Olujimi, was an albatross. And eventually, it was what actually led to the declaration of the state of emergency.
Yeah. Interesting. And then, you know, he had to leave, and you had former army chief.
Yes, General Olujimi.
Coming. What did it feel like at that moment, 2006 to 2007? Those 6 months, what did it feel like having somebody, a complete stranger, come and take total and absolute control? Well, I'm also curious, at the time, what were the limits of the operations of the House of Assembly?
The House of Assembly had no operations at all. The House of Assembly was suspended, just like the governor was suspended. And the federal government are taking over our government here, so there was nothing for anybody to feel about it. Yes, Olujimi came and he was administrator.
I'm also curious as to, were you being paid for that period of the 6 months when you know?
This is the very interesting part of it. We were not paid a dime. We were not even greeted. But the irony of it was, all the people who were around us when it was all happening, they left us to our fate. They abandoned us. That is the right word. They abandoned us. And these were people who actually knew that at a point in time, the state of emergency will be declared. None of us that was involved did not know that the state of emergency was an option on the table of Mr. President. We all knew. It was obvious. The man was bold enough to tell us, kind enough to tell us. But when interests, that's the problem. When interests clash, sometimes even the impossible gets done. Because there was a clash of interest, some of us happily went into it, some of us grudgingly because we were looking at a bigger picture. But I do remember that one of those people, we were all involved together, including all National Assembly members of Ekiti State then, told me personally, as a friend, that look, or am I worried, even if the worst comes to the worst, we will not leave you people. We will rally around you. We will take care of it. But I'm saying it now, that not one of them remember to give any of us a penny for those 6 months.
Interesting.
But you want to know the interesting thing? The interesting thing was that, horrible as some of us then felt Fayose was, he was actually reaching some of us he believed were his friends, that he believed were just squads into going along with us, and he was giving them some money every month.
Wow.
I say that for him. Of course, we are not friends, so, but I'm not the kind of person who will lie against anybody. When the chips are down, the man was giving some of us money every month after our suspension.
That's interesting. That's I'm not sure that's a side any other person has had in a very long time.
No, nobody would say he has said it, because the people who was giving money were not telling us that we're not getting. But we got to know after that he was actually giving them money, and I respected him for that fact. That even after we impeached him, he was doing good to those of us he felt were his friend. I did not feel bad that he did not give me money. I did not deserve money from him. It is okay by me. But at least he was taking care of the interest of some people. Other people who were involved, who should have taken care of the interest of those of us who were outstandingly against him, just abandoned us to our fate.
That's interesting. Eventually, Tunji left, and then you became acting governor. I'm curious, were you able to then get all the funds from that 6 months paid to the lawmakers?
That would have been a crime, and I don't do anything that is criminal. I'm a chartered accountant.
So
I'm an intelligent person.
That 6 months you've not received since then.
Why would you receive money when you are not working? We were on suspension. We knew the risk we were bearing, and we bore it happily. So the 6 months was dead and gone. We did not get paid. Fayose and Olujimi did not get paid. Nothing lost. We were all on the on the poor side of it.
What were the intrigues that produced you then as speaker?
There was no interest. It was simply providence.
Let's have the backstory. Let's have the backstory.
These are the facts as they were. We actually pronounced Friday Ademiluyi executive governor of Ekiti, and he took office. The next day, a Tuesday, we conducted an election in the House of Assembly for the office of Speaker, office of Deputy Speaker, office of Majority Leader, and every single office, because we dissolved all principal officers when Friday Ademiluyi was leaving, when we were going to proclaim him as the governor of the state. So we had a fresh election for every office on Tuesday. On Wednesday, on the floor of the House, I was officially elected Speaker. My deputy then was officially elected Deputy Speaker, and all the principal officers were elected. So as at that point, I'd become the Speaker of the House. I presided over the House. As a matter of fact, I remember that the then Assembly Governor had proclaimed, I sent the name of his proposed Attorney General to the House, which I read to the House. And I jokingly told them that day that, please, we must expedite action on this candidate of the governor because he is my cousin. So I presided over the House, and that was gone. The next morning, on Thursday, while I was dressing up to go to the office, I received a call from one of the people who was heavily involved in the matter, and he just told me, see, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President wants to declare a state of emergency. You people should go and start protesting now. Start protesting heavily in Ekiti. And I just told him, all right, sir. And I laughed. I laughed because at that time, I had 2 children, and I had one in incubation. And I just thought, Why would this man send me this kind of message? This is what Yoruba call Beri Beri now. You ask me to go and protest when the president is already clear about his intention to declare a state of emergency. Something we all knew he was going to do if some things happened. No, I'm not suicidal. I just laughed and I just sat down waiting for the proclamation, and it came in the afternoon. So I was not surprised, and truth be told, none of us was surprised because we knew it was going to happen. If anybody said it came as a surprise in Ekiti, it was the people, not those of us who were involved in the matter.
Did you think that the president at the time was going to suspend the House of Assembly?
Of course, we knew he would suspend everything. We knew it. We knew it. That is the truth. We knew it.
So there is a likelihood that when you look at what is at play in Rivers State, almost all the major actors may have known a few days before that the president was going to declare a state of emergency.
I do not think so. You see, the issue in Rivers State is different from the issue in Ekiti. We had impeached a governor in Ekiti. We now had a problem because we had two people purporting to be governors. The impeached deputy governor then, Senator Olujimi, was entrenched in government house, proclaiming herself as the governor. The one we had appointed has access to the governor's office. He too was proclaiming himself as governor. That was all that the then president leveraged on to declare the state of emergency. Nothing more. That yes, we had two governors in Ekiti. It was not like one person slapped the other on the streets of Ekiti now. Nothing happened. Nothing untoward happened. People were going about their normal businesses. But we had two people contending to be governors in Ekiti. That was why the state of emergency was declared. But in the case of Rivers State, yes, there had been an impeachment notice to the suspended governor, but this is the truth of the matter. The suspended governor was, how do you put it now? He was too aggressive in his speeches. It was too ungovernor-like. When openly he was telling people how don't be perturbed. I'm not bothered. My people, when it's time, I'll give you instructions. Instructions to do what? Instructions to do exactly what? You see, anybody holding high office, the office of a governor, the office of a president, must be circumspect in his speech. His speeches were obviously too hostile against even the federal government. And call it coincidence, call it happenstance, call it whatever name you want. The situation occurred that he said one day that we will give instructions, and some people on his behalf were already threatening, will blow the pipelines, will destroy all infrastructures there. Unfortunately, while he said, I'll give instructions one day, that night or the next day, pipeline started blowing. For God's own sake, the economy of the world right now is comatose. And Nigeria is just struggling to get out of a multiple set of issues that it necessarily got into. We are talking about removal of subsidy on fuel. We are talking about removal of apparent subsidy on foreign currencies. So every bit of money that comes into Nigeria now is of high value. And the truth is, in the last 1 year, the revenue that has been accruing to the federation account has been humongous. The source has never happened before. So governments are now able to do a lot of things for the people. You can't hear any story of salary being owed any worker in Nigeria now. You can't hear stories of contractors not getting paid. That is why they did not do a contract. And a good part of this money is coming from the oil wells. And we even have situation where a good part of the oil that we are mining there has been sold before now, cash collected. So the people who bought the oil have an assurance that they will get it delivered. Now, if some people, for whatever reason, start blowing the pipelines and we cannot deliver even oil that has been sold maybe 2-3 years back, what happens? Somebody goes to court against Nigeria, will start paying damages for something that is not natural, something that we very well could have prevented. It's all those things I think Mr. President puts together. And for God's sake, let anybody say what he likes. But it is a fact that for over 1 year now, the River State has had no legislation. And that is not how democracy is supposed to act. So, in the best interest of even the people of River State, the president declared the emergency. I think the intervening time will give all the parties enough breathing space to sit back retrospectively and consider what they had done, what they could have done, and what they will do. Because what they will do is actually the more important thing now. After 6 months, the emergency is up for review. It will either be renewed or be lifted. It will be renewed if there is untraceable recalcitrance in the place, if there is pandemonium and trouble. And it will be lifted if the place is considered calm and it is looking like the people can now sit down and talk like brothers that they are and resolve their issues. So, I think the emergency for this one time is actually a better option than what could have resulted. Because what would have happened in River State, truth be told, the governor and his deputy would have been impeached. The speaker would have been appointed acting governor. Only God knows what would have happened in the intervening period. But now, everything has been put on a back burner. It will simmer down. People will now have time to jojo instead of the war they have had before now. And hopefully, within the next 6 months, they will be able to resolve a lot of their issues and be able to work together for the good of their people.
So you think that the president has provided room for negotiation rather than allowing Fubara and his deputy to lose out completely?
Look at it this way. If they had gone on the trajectory they were on, truth be told, Fubara will be impeached. His deputy will be impeached because they have a lot of impeachable offenses against them. Operating a budget without appropriation is the height of impeachable offenses. And it apparently has happened. But Fubara would have supporters. They will start trouble. The other people will have supporters. When the chips are down, it's River State that will suffer, it is Nigeria that will suffer, and it is Nigerians that will get killed in the imbroglio. It's not likely somebody will succeed in killing Fubara or the speaker, no. But some boys, some women, stray, some child somewhere, probably sleeping in his mother or father's house, could have been hit by a bullet and killed. So, I think it was the lesser of two devils to have a state of emergency where everybody, all powers have been cut from everybody now. So there's no grandstanding in River State now. If there were no state of emergency, there would be grandstanding. We would have been hearing so much drama, would have been seeing so much drama. But right now, there's no grandstanding, nothing.
Do you think Fubara would come back after 6 months?
Well, I am hoping Fubara will seriously and now understand that, like the Hausas will say, Kereningoro, Yafi Babanduse, that a small piece of kola nut is better than a huge rock. I think now that he knows that if he's taken out of the system, heavens will not fall. Nigeria will not stop being being Nigeria. I think yes, he should be intelligent enough to give peace a chance so they can talk. He obviously has the hot start against him. His governor and his deputy and the House of Assembly are on another side, and they have the power to remove him. He does not have the power to remove them. So I think reason will prevail, and they will come to some kind of agreement. I am believing so.
Do you think it's estranged godfather, the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, will be willing to even sit and negotiate and see reason why maybe they should allow him stay?
Let us say it fast. Wike can be tough, but he is a human being. But the truth of the matter is this. There is nobody who would attain high office without some backing from some people. OBJ did not make himself president. It was the Babangidas of this world who made him president. But of course, he became president and made it impossible for those ones to have a stake at anything. Yar'Adua would not have been president. I know a couple of aspirants at that time who would have won the PDP primaries hands down. In fact, there was a particular one that we were all waiting for because he came with, oh my God, he came with so much money. But it was not even.
He came with so much money to the primaries.
Yes, quote me.
A former governor.
I don't know, but there was an aspirant that was going to spend a lot of money. And politicians are money 5 and 6 now.
So the vote buying didn't start in 2022.
Forget the story. It has always been a part of it. Vote buying at delegate primary. Why do you think they are called delegates? My brother, let's be frank now. The truth was, Obasanjo ensured that Yar'Adua became president. Obasanjo ensured that Jonathan became president. Even before the people in the staff were thinking of Jonathan become president, Obasanjo gathered the PDP members in the Southwest who were in Ibadan now. And we all agreed that, yes, Jonathan will be the next president. That was the first time Our Excellency Senator Olujimi called Baba the Ebola of Africa. We used to call him Ebola, but that was the day she called him the Ebola of Africa. I was at that gathering because I'm an automatic delegate to any congress of any party that I am.
Indeed.
Now, you can't become a governor without somebody backing you. And our society is replete with histories of such. Any governor that is leaving office wants somebody he can lean on as the next governor. He wants somebody who will continue where he has stopped. He wants somebody who will not just start making trouble for him and calling him names. So it is not a strange thing. That it happened between Wike and Fubara is not a strange thing. It happens everywhere.
There are those who say that Wike is overbearing, overreaching. They say he appointed almost all the commissioners in...
I do not know. Do you have clear evidence of that?
If that is true, is that overreaching?
Hold on, sir. Do you have clear evidence of that?
No, we do not.
I don't.
When you look,
so it is all in the realm of speculation. But you must weigh this too. You must weigh this. Fubara was a middle-ranking civil servant. Wike propelled him above his seniors, brought him into government at a high level. Fubara was a civil servant. He was just brought from the civil service to come into... And anyway, maybe it's a lesson for the political class, especially the people in very high office. This idea of just blocking people who do not have a political orientation and putting them in office sometimes it will backfire. It would always backfire. But you see, a politician is a politician. He understands the game. Look, even against his own father, Bukola Saraki made Abdul Fattah the governor in Kwara State.
Ahmed, yes.
That was even against his own father's wish that his sister, Gbemisola Saraki, become governor. But in 8 years, nobody heard about a squabble for 1 second between Bukola and Abdul Fattah.
Yeah.
You think Bukola would not have asked for some things Abdul Fattah will find outrageous? No. But you see, you must learn to accommodate the man that is giving you a platform to ride on. Yes, some people can be egregious, they can be impossible, they can be demanding, they can be exasperating. But you would have known them to be such before you agreed to be their person. Call it stooge now if you like. So you can't agree to be bending down in the morning so that you want to climb a horse. And when you now climb the horse, you now say, I don't know how to bend down. No, now. So it does not work like that, though.
In the end, agreement is agreement.
Absolutely. That is the word.
Even at the expense of the people of River State, because that's what some of them are saying, that whatever it is that the Godfather...
Listen here. Wike was governor for 8 years in Kwara State, in River State. Was his government to the detriment of the people?
We don't know.
Wike probably worked more than any other governor in River State for River State. So it's not, but of course, everybody would have an excuse for doing whatever he chooses to do. I don't expect Fubara to say Wike is the nicest human being since they now have issues. But he cannot claim not to know Wike, having worked closely with him for a couple of years before he agreed that he will be his governor.
Interesting. But I want a quick lesson from you, which is how not to be a godfather. There are those who say that Wike may fit the expression of how not to be a godfather. Allegedly, they say his demands, the way he talks, some of the things he says, but that's not how to be a political godfather.
You know, human beings, we are of different types. Some people are introverts, others are extroverts. Some people are talkative, some are sober, and even at the extreme, they would not talk. They just act or react. Wike is who he is. You can't change Wike at 50-something years now. He is who he is. So if you want to deal with Wike, you must sit down and consider all the options. Can I take his excesses? Can I take his loudness? Can I accommodate his actions? When you are sure that you are okay with it, then you take whatever he offers. But immediately you think, the kind of person I am, I cannot tolerate being bossed around. I cannot tolerate somebody just passing others over my head. You simply leave him with his problem. Let him find somebody that is liable to his kind of life and system. But you cannot choose to dine with the devil and you come to the devil with your fingers. You need a shovel so that you just take one scoop from the pot and you can move back before you finish a shovelful. If you are not a glutton, you should be filled now.
Okay, let's talk about Ekiti State, for instance. There is a political dynasty that is shaping out. You have Niyi Adebayo, former governor Kayode Fayemi acknowledges Niyi Adebayo as a political godfather. In fact, Otumani Adebayo acknowledges, I know he would fondly call him Kayode as his godson, and that has produced Governor Biodo Oyebanji. But we've been hearing lately that there's been a lot of back and forth that was not the same situation when you had Governor Kayode Fayemi in power. But let's look at the three of them. Do they in any way fit any example of how political leadership, godfatherism, and God-son relationship should work?
I'm a PDP, I'm an APC member.
Yes.
Well, I used to be a PDP member. I am an APC member.
Mm.
And let me say this. I think God has been kind to us. We have had a retinue of gentlemen in office. People who are not overbearing, people who will not shove their faces down your throat just to show they are being of help to you at one point or the other. And the pleasant thing is, every step along the line, as you have stated, everybody is acknowledging that man who has helped him. Like human beings, yes, there can be disagreements, but we have not had any reasons at any point in time to hear of an implosion between our leaders in the APC. They have been doing very well. They have been very accommodative of each other. They have been relating at a point and level that is pleasant and pleasing to all of us. I would just like to leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
They are Omoluabis, gentlemen, all of them. Yes, and I'm an Omoluabi too.
Yeah, indeed. It's always a pleasure speaking to Prince Adetope Ademiluyi, former Speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly, former acting governor of Ekiti State. It's a pleasure to be able to review, go back in time, even though I was looking forward to more interesting, it's been interesting, but I mean, to more explicit stories.
If I tell you all the stories, what happens if I choose to write a book tomorrow?
Oh yes, and I think that is something that we would look forward to. I understand that quite a number of figures have written books about the experiences. I'm hoping that you will do so soon, so that we can read. And
I may do so, especially given that a lot of wrong information is being passed to the society about the thing now. But I dare to say that I'm one of the few human beings who knows practically everything that happened around that time.
I think just before I let you take leave now, at the time, you seem to have sounded as if the legislature was completely independent of the executive. That is not something that we see nowadays. We see the state assemblies subjugated under the control of the governor or the executive. It's almost the same thing. You go around and then they say, oh, the National Assembly is rubber stamped. We had it under under Lawan with Buhari, and now they say the same thing about Akpabio's Senate under President Bola Tinubu. Why do you think things have transformed this quickly?
Let us face facts. The executive would always be the executive. The legislature would always be the legislature. But if the two do not agree on most things, government will be crippled. And it so happens that most times, the legislature is almost always in the majority with the party that produces the governor or the president. So they have a common ground. They have the same manifestos to work towards. They have the same ideological principles to work towards. So most times, what the executive is thinking is something the people in the legislature would have known about or would have even been within the master plan of their parties for the government. So if I am a legislator and my governor or my president is bringing to the legislative house something we had agreed upon before that will be done. Okay, this party has this leaning ideologically, and the governor or president is bringing a bill that is in line with that ideological lineage. Why would the legislator go against it? Is it just to be irascible? No. And most times, before issues get on the floor of the House, there would have been meetings, there would have been consultations. People would have known about it beforehand. Do you think people did not know beforehand that this state of emergency will be imposed? You think people did not know beforehand when it was imposed on us in 2006? Let me tell you another story in 2006. Our state of emergency was declared on a Friday. So definitely, the National Assembly must sit on it on Monday. On Friday, we were in Lagos, we had a press conference. And on Sunday, we left Ekiti. No, some of us left Ekiti for Abuja. And our plan was to go to the National Assembly and protest so that the emergency would be opposed and probably thrown out. And we most of us were quartered in Ibro Hotel. But there was one of us who was in-law to the son of a senator. So he went to stay in the house of the son of the senator. No, he was in-law to an head of a senator. So he went to stay in the house of the head of the senator with a friend of his. We were in Ibro Hotel. The members of the National Assembly in Ekiti and the then minister from Ekiti, Professor Borishade, may he to rest in peace like Friday Adetope. They came to a meeting with us. And they were with us till 1 a.m. They came supposedly to take our grievances. Yeah, they will go and speak with Mr. President, blah, 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 and they left. We went to sleep. Around 5 a.m., I had a knock on my door and I just went to the door, opened it, foolishly. I didn't even have school. I just thought it should be one of my colleagues. I just opened the door and two barrel-chested men just accosted me. Are you Adetope Ademiluyi? I said, yes, I'm Adetope Ademiluyi. I'm a Ekiti man. I don't fear anything. Yes, I'm Adetope Ademiluyi. Said, yes, we are from SSS. We would like to see you. I said, come inside. And they came and they said, where are your colleagues? I said, if you know where I am, you should know where my colleagues are now. Say, okay, we want to see you in our office. I said, okay, fine. But I need to take my bath and all that and all that. They said, okay. I should go and take my bath. I said, no, you would have to leave. I don't bath in front of me. So they left my room. They told me, okay, will you be ready in like 15 minutes? I said, no problem. They left. I took my bath. And by the time I was coming out, I just saw that they had assembled all my colleagues. Wow. They put us in, I think, 2 buses and just drove us to one of their guest houses. They were driving us to their office. At the gate of the office, they just turned back, drove us to one guest house. They went and they collected all our phones. But some of us had more than a phone, so we had about 2 phones we did not give to them. They collected all our phones, and for that day and the next day, they were just bringing food for us from cafeterias. And when they bring you, just say, I hope you are not poisoning the food, though. They say, why would they want to kill us? And we're just eating. After the emergency had been cleared, Monday, Tuesday, they just came Wednesday morning and said, gentlemen, let's take you back to your hotel. Nobody said they want us. Nobody had anything to do with us. But it is on record that the National Assembly members and the ministers were with us in Ibro Hotel till 1 a.m. So they were the ones who knew where we were.
Wow.
So it is not as if people would, when issues like this come up. So that is why it is not reasonable to continue to play legislators and rubber stamps to get executives. There would always be consultation beforehand. In our time, yes, a lot of us were friendly with Governor Fayose. I was not one of them. It was not because he had done anything to me personally. I just felt I saw through some of the things and I did not like them. And I'm that kind of person. If I don't like it, and I make it obvious. It's not like I did not want to be his friend. I didn't mind being his friend, but we just didn't get along. And I'm sure, even if he dislikes me, he does not hate me. About that, I'm sure, because I don't hate him either. I just didn't agree with some of the things he does. But that does not mean that I was against him. There were issues the government brought that I was very happy to champion. So it's not like in our days, the government had no friends. In any legislature, government would have some particular friends who will be the high of the government in that particular legislation. You can't rule it out. Yes, the friends will probably have some advantages and benefits that the others don't have. But we must not always expect that every legislature and every government will be at loggerheads. If they are at loggerheads, governance would break down. It will not work. There was a time in Ekiti where the PDP and the APC had 13 members.
Yes.
Government still went on very well. And that is the pleasure of it. Is it that, are we going to say that the APC members then did not play opposition? But if they wanted to play opposition, would they now crash the government? If they crash the government, is it only the executive that will take the blame? Everybody will take the blame now. So, this idea that one legislation is stamped to one executive is not exactly correct. What we should be thinking about is, do the legislators give adequate consideration to bills and issues that are brought before them by the executive? If they do, why would they disagree with something that is good? If government is coming up with a program that will benefit the people, would the legislator just, for the sake of wanting to play opposition, now say, no, we don't want it, say, okay, let us provide street lights, solar energy for everybody. We need also so money. So the legislators will say, no, you cannot provide solar lights. It is not how. It does not work. The legislature is supposed to be, how do you put it? If not exactly wives though, then a mistress to the executive. They must relate cordially. There must be mutual respect between them.